عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا بس سمعت في سيارة عملت يعني هونكينج أو عملت صوت عالي، فأنا اعتقدت إن أنا عامل خطأ، لأن هنا سماع صوت السيارات يعني بصوت عالي حاجة نادرة. فلما بتسمع صوت السيارة بتعتقد إن في حاجة كبيرة يعني. اليوم يناير 8 يناير 2025، وسقوط الثلج على مدينة لندن اونتاريو. طبعا لا تنسونا بعمل اعجاب للفيديو والاشتراك في القناة. لو لك اي تعليق نرجو كتابته في الاسفل، مشاركة الفيديو ليشاهده اكثر عدد من الناس. طبعا نحن حاليا في الصباح الساعة 8:30. طبعا نزلت ثلوج حوالي 15 سنتي تقريبا، 15 سنتي متر من الثلج تقريبا. والطرق يعني مش آمنة في السواقة، أو يعني في نسبة تزحلق، فلازم تكون السواقة بحذر شوية. طبعا هنا من كام يوم كده نزل يعني نسبة ثلوج كبيرة جدا، حوالي متر تقريبا، والحرارة ارتفعت فوق الصفر، وكان في أمطار وذابت الثلوج واختفت، ورجعت تبدأ تنزل تاني لما الحرارة بدأت تكون تحت الصفر، فبدأ يتكون ثلوج مرة أخرى كما نرى في الشارع. طبعا هناك بطء في الحركة شوية.
As CBC's Andrew Lupton reports, news of the death has shocked neighbors in the North London community.
As snow swirled around a house on Chippewa Drive yesterday, so too did the questions. What police first described as a suspicious death is now London's first homicide investigation of 2025. Neighbors say Five Puth lived in the house for more than 30 years, and her son-in-law, Lee Couturier, lived there too, along with Puth's daughter and their young son. Tara Barrera spoke to reporters on behalf of family members still reeling from the loss.
At this point, we know nothing, and we are just trying to hold everything together.
Neighbor Esther Graham has lived beside the family for 3 decades.
Shocked and sad, because they are a really lovely family, very, very quiet, never caused any kind of issues. It's just an awful thing to have happened.
Puth's daughter posted a photo of her with her mother on Facebook shortly after the charges were announced. The caption said, "My angel, rest in peace, up in heaven with Dad." Andrew Lupton, CBC News, London.
Canada's next Prime Minister needs to act quickly in the face of incoming tariffs threatened by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. That's according to head of one of Ontario's largest farming associations. Justin Trudeau has prorogued Parliament until March so the Liberal Party can find his replacement. Meantime, Trump also says he'd consider using economic force to make Canada the 51st American state. Drew Spolstra is president of the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, which represents 38,000 farmers across the province. He says a lot is up in the air right now.
Well, I think everybody's just trying to get a handle on what the next steps are. Really trying to understand what happens during prorogation, how the government will move forward. Obviously, there's still work to be done. We've got a lot of challenges we're facing right now with the U.S. administration coming in, the potential for tariffs, some of the trade issues, and other things we continue to face here, like cost of living and higher input prices and things like that.
Spolstra says 25% tariffs on all imports from Canada would crush businesses on both sides of the border. And finally, the long-awaited opening of Jones Place in the downtown core is nearly in sight. The supportive housing project from Youth Opportunities Unlimited targets young and expectant mothers at risk. After a decade of fundraising, planning, and building, residents move in next month. The building's 39 units are aimed at helping them transition to stable, permanent housing. YOU's offices are across the street at the corner of Richmond and York. Steve Cordes is its executive director.
Finally, we're able to need that is just so pervasive, and in those 10 years the housing crisis has become a crisis. Those young people that I know are going to get amazing news that when they have their baby, they're not going to be separated. Going to be a supportive home that's wrapped around people that care about them all the time.
Residents will be able to access resources on the building's ground floor. Nearly $20 million was raised for the project, including $1 million from the family of the building's namesake, Joan Smith, Ontario's first female Solicitor General. And Andrew, that's your local news.
All right, thank you, Angela. A quick correction from me. We got some texts. I read them wrong. I said 17 centimeters of snow in Blackfriars. It was actually 17 inches, which according to my math is 43 centimeters of snow in Blackfriars this morning. Similar in the Westminster Ponds area. It's a lot of snow, and there's plenty more coming today. A snow squall warning continues. Flurries or snow squalls all day today. Another 15 to 25 centimeters in the forecast, depending where you are in the city. A high of -8. Another 5 centimeters of snow tonight, a low of -10. And that's what it is right now, -10 with light snow. So if you have to go somewhere today, please do be safe out there on the roads. We were talking to Joel at the city about clearing them up, and he sounds like they're really having a tough time staying on top of things. There won't be any plowing in residential areas until this evening, he says. So be careful if you have to go out. Stay home if you can. And we'll be back here tomorrow morning. I'm Andrew Brown. Thanks for listening.
Is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
The world's richest man has already established an outside influence on the yet-to-begin presidency of Donald Trump. Now Elon Musk has turned his attention to politics abroad, saying the UK government should be tossed out, that the UK Prime Minister should be tossed in prison, and backing a far-right party in Germany, one of whose leaders has been found guilty of using Nazi rhetoric. And now Elon Musk has turned his attention to Canada, calling Prime Minister Justin Trudeau a tool. In 30 minutes, what Elon Musk wants and why lawmakers in Britain especially are outraged. Also this morning.
An art school teacher said to my mom, "I don't think your daughter can hear." and it was confirmed that I had been born with profound hearing loss in both ears, and it was a shock.
Lauren McDonald was told by her parents that as a deaf person, she needed to find her way in a hearing world. She has done that and then some. The disability rights activist has just been named to the Order of Canada, and in an hour, as part of our conversations with extraordinary Canadians recognized by the Governor General, we'll talk to Lauren about the art of lip reading and why we shouldn't be afraid of being disabled. But as the fate of undocumented people in the United States becomes even more precarious, we begin with the stories of those living in Canada under the radar. Good morning, I'm Matt Galloway, and this is The Current. The story of undocumented people living in the United States is well known. Incoming President Donald Trump is promising a crackdown and mass deportation, but Canada has an undocumented population too. There could be as many as 500,000 people living here without any legal status. Today, CBC is launching a series about immigration called Welcome to Canada, and reporter Lindsay Duncombe has been looking into stories of people living here undocumented.
Every day I walk alone. Amelia is walking to her first job of the day. She's just dropped off her 2-year-old son at daycare and is navigating busy streets to a downtown high-rise. Un Airbnb? She's here to clean an Airbnb. I do the laundry. She starts by stripping the beds. There are 2 bedrooms. Light streams in from floor to ceiling windows. She works quickly. Amelia isn't her real name. We're protecting her identity and where she lives because she fears she'll be deported back to Mexico. She's living in Canada without any legal status.
She
says she feels lucky to be doing this job. She's inside and actually makes minimum wage. That's unusual, she says. She knows undocumented women like her who work on construction sites. And she's done that too in the past, climbing buildings to clean roofs, sometimes without even the basic equipment. It was scary, she says, but she had to pay rent and support her 2 kids. There are good people, she says, but also ones who take advantage of her status and don't pay well. On the weekends, she gets up at 3 a.m. to work at a major grocery chain stocking shelves. Then she carries on to her other cleaning jobs until 6 p.m. Everywhere she works, it's through a third party, and she's paid cash. Amelia insists that keeping up this schedule is better than the prospect of going back to Mexico. She worked in the family business there, but increasingly the cartel was demanding something called pesos, a fee collected from business owners in exchange for protection.
La causa principal fue, o la decisión fue porque nuestra vida sí estaba en peligro.
She felt her life was in danger. So when her partner came to Canada in 2019, she followed. At first, she had a visitor's visa. They were trying to get work permits. But before the paperwork was complete, he went back to Mexico on his own, leaving her with a teenage daughter and a new baby. But she decided to stay in Canada.
Fue y ha sido muy duro.
It was and still is very difficult. Amelia says she feels like a ghost.
El sistema nos ve como fantasmas. No existimos.
A ghost because she works so much and still can't afford basics, like decent housing. She lives in a 1-room basement suite with her 2 kids. She can't even go to the hospital if she gets sick.
No sabes qué va a pasar.
She says life is stressful. She doesn't know what's going to happen to her. She wishes the government would give her rights so she can give her kids a secure future.
Aquí poderles dar algo seguro a nuestros hijos.
It's tough to count how many people in Canada may be living and working like Amelia, a workforce of ghosts. The federal government says there are as many as 500,000 undocumented migrants in the country. It's just an estimate.
I just don't know, and I don't think that anyone who claims that they know really knows.
Irene Blumrad runs the Center for Migration Studies at the University of British Columbia. She's studied immigration patterns in Canada and the US for decades.
I don't think Canadians have really grappled with the fact that there are undocumented community members living in our neighborhoods. I think that most Canadians think this is an American problem.
She says unlike the US, where migrants come over the border from Mexico, the most common way for people to become undocumented in Canada is to stay longer than they're legally allowed, not returning to their home country if their asylum claim is denied, or sticking around in Canada once temporary status as a worker, visitor, or student expires.
I don't think people realize that there are temporary migrants working in all kinds of industries across Canada. And so it's easy to sort of say, oh, we have too many immigrants, we have too many migrants, we have to stop that. But if you look at sort of what they're doing day to day, if they suddenly disappeared, there would be big gaps in, restaurant industry, cleaning, agriculture. There's all of these industries that rely on temporary and perhaps undocumented labor.
Welcome to meeting number 117 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration. We have with us Honorable Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you, Chair, and hopefully we don't spend the next couple.
Canada's Immigration Minister, Mark Miller, is at the center of the question of what to do with undocumented migrants in Canada. The government has limited legal immigration by capping visas and reducing the number of permanent residents approved.
We do recognize the need to pause population growth and return it to pre-pandemic levels.
At a committee meeting in late November, protesters confronted Miller.
We are the people you're trying to kick out of the country. We are human beings and we are not.
They held signs saying, "Don't deport us," and "Status for all." What they want is something called regularization. Legislation that would give legal status to undocumented workers. Finding a way to make that happen was part of Miller's mandate letter when he got the job 3 years ago. But the government is backing away from it.
There's no consensus at this time as to what to do. There is.
In fact, speaking to reporters late last year, the minister stressed Canada is deporting people who are here illegally.
A number of people that are violating the terms of the visas that were accorded to them and they undertook to return, need to return to their own countries. We have methods of ensuring that the federal government, when people refuse to do so. We've seen significant numbers of deportation, I think historic highs of the numbers of removals from this country this year. We're very serious about that. Again,
the Canada Border Services Agency says more than 15,000 people were deported in the last fiscal year. That's close to 6,000 more than the previous year.
We're demanding status for all and an end to deportation.
Manea Jess is risking deportation by speaking up. She was one of the protesters who confronted the minister on Parliament Hill, and she spoke at an Ottawa press conference.
Our family depend on us, but nobody will hire us. We deserve fairness and equality. We're demanding status.
We meet Jess at the offices of Migrant Workers Alliance.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. ده كان ايه منظر سقوط الثلج وحالة ايه الطرق في كندا. جزاكم الله خيرا وفي رعاية الله.